Hi everyone, welcome to the Icehouse podcast. I am Bryar Stewart, the community manager, and today I have the pleasure of chatting with Heidi Crockett from Colab Brewing. Heidi has done our Taking Your Business Forward program number 5 and is also working with one of our Icehouse coaches, Kevin, and enjoying that at the moment. So I thought it was a great time that we could jump on and have a chat to you, Heidi. So how are you doing?
Good, thanks.
That's good. Awesome. First question is just, hey, introduce yourself to us. Who is Heidi?
Hi, I'm Heidi. Probably the biggest thing that defines me in this stage of my life is I've got 2 small children at primary school, and we're very stoked they're at primary school and going there. About a year and a half ago, I quit the corporate world. So I used to run large contact centres. And now I run a small brewery in Warkworth. So we moved out from the city to the country.
Wow.
So that I could start a small brewery and see where we go from there.
Wow, that's so inspiring already. I'm just like, cool. There's lots of people that will get a lot from this chat. That corporate world to business transition, working parents, etc., etc. So let's get into it. What are a couple words to describe who you are?
I'm one of these, every time I've had my personality test or anything done, I'm one of these weird people that's both creative, but also really number driven. So in science, I've got science degrees, all that sort of stuff, but I also have a creative side to me.
Great.
And it links in emotional as well. So I sit really bizarrely. So as a person, something like brewing, for me, I get to design recipes and do something new and kind of have that side to me. And then I also have the business piece, which is like what's my projected numbers and all the really boring stuff, but I actually enjoyed both sides of it. So for me, I can make it work for me.
That's so cool. I love that. That sums you up well. I would love to hear your career journey, and interesting to hear already that you made the move from corporate, but what that career journey looks like, and then also for you to tell us a little bit about Colab Brewing.
Awesome. So initially I started off university doing science and then HR, and decided I wasn't going to be a science in a laboratory. So I went into the HR side, but ended up in contact centres, did some HR, did an overseas OE, had a look at the world, came back and went back into the corporate world where I worked in contact centres. So 30 years later, I was so bored, I'd go to work and the job and the people weren't boring, but I had just had enough. So it was probably 2 years of looking for something new. So I took my daughter out and we were getting our toes done and I found a brewery. So my idea is for me to do a business, I'm going to need help from my husband. So I might as well do something that's as close to his heart. And it wasn't food this time, it was beer. So we made some beer. We were already doing a little bit of home brewing and all that sort of stuff. So we started a massive journey of learning how to brew commercially beer. This was during sort of the pandemic as well, which made it really interesting. We worked with the old owners and are still friends with them now. Then we had to pick up everything. We had to move it up to Warkworth so that I could put a new brewery, have a brewery up here on the back of the house.
Wow.
So we were doing that for around about a year. And then we decided, I needed more structure. I needed something more. So that's when I went and looked for the Icehouse course. So that it would enable me to give me the structure I'd normally get in the corporate world, but couldn't find it myself. And set me through to give me a holistic view on what I could do and how to make my business change, because I knew I had to make it grow to make money. So I did that course in lockdown. Wasn't meant to be lockdown, but it was. Awesome, all done online, heaps of times to think and actually make the most use of it and do a lot of work. So it worked at quite a good time. Quite a few times I had a couple of beers in the spa pool and tried to use your imagination to come up with new ideas. And it did force me to change everything about what we were doing. So it worked really well. So I couldn't come up with a really good reason why I was different and why someone would buy from me, because I have some amazing brewers up here. I'm with Number 8, Sawmill, McLeod's, like they're awesome. And I'd always be behind them by a few years and experience, and I didn't want to chase them. So anyway, we'd come up with a new idea. We're actually going to do a designer can, so that you can go online like you do design your you put your kids' pictures up and send them to your friends and family. Well, you can do the same thing with a can. So you can design for presents or gifts or corporate gifts or mail.
How cool.
Or that. And you're going to be able to go online and design it online, and we will just send it out from here. Nice and easy. Choose your beer, and design your label, and it's done for you.
Great.
So we've got most of it ready. Our canning machine, which we've bought new, is a little bit delayed because we've got these COVID things. I've got a large brew house being made in China that'll be done in about 2 weeks, but then we've got to try and get it to New Zealand, which is another big piece. But we'll be able to launch all of the designer very soon, as soon as we have the canning machines. So that's what I'm working with, again, Icehouse, on how to give a launch and all that sort of stuff. But it was definitely the course that made me stop and come out and be different and not follow everyone else. And it kind of forced me to really think. So that was what I got out of it.
Wow, that's so cool. I love that. What a great idea, because like you said, from a personal individual perspective, you got your kids under there. I think that's quite cool. But then also you've got your corporate big events, like having corporate companies logos or just at their events. I think that's definitely an untapped market. So yay, I love this idea. That's great. Would love to hear biggest challenges or challenge and what you learned from that in the business journey.
I guess the biggest challenge is the same that everyone's facing right now, and that's COVID. In my industry, I'm selling currently mostly to pubs, a large proportion of my beer. We all know it's a stop and a start, but we've also got supply chains, we've got all sorts of other things that are outside of my control and are generally COVID related. So I guess in all parts of business, even if COVID doesn't exist, there's going to be something that's going to go weird, like who knows what the impact of the war going on right now will have on us as well. So what I've learned from that is what's in my control, outside my control, and how to plan. So how to look and understand, okay, so I've done enough planning, so I understand the impact, and then just keep your head up, keep going, and just replan it, and you will get there. It's just you're going to have contingencies along the way. Because something's going to happen every time. Like it's not what we're dealing with right now. In another year, it'll be something different, and it's evolving. So yeah, that crisis management, and it's not been easy with all the stop starts and loss of momentum too. So completely feeling for you, and for all of our business owners and just individuals. We're all getting to this point now where we're like, okay, when is this gonna to calm down? And so crossing our fingers and toes for that, for business owners especially. What's been a highlight of the journey? I'd love to hear that sort of positive element to what you're doing. I guess I'm one of those people that really hates following the crowd. So I was getting quite down on the fact that I was, following some great brewers, and everyone was saying, if you want to do this, you have to follow this is how you do it, the steps to success. So for me, the most exciting thing, and what gets me excited about things, is I've got a product that potentially will do for me, not following the steps, so I get to do it differently, but I can still be my personality and work for me. So with the beer world, you've got a whole lot of events, which are a lot of fun, but I've got young kids, so I have to find someone to look after them, and 2 days away, and all those sort of logistics, which is really, really hard. And that's not what I want my small business for. I can actually mold this business to fit my world right now. And in 10 years, it will probably change, but I can remold it again. So that's,
100%. Touching on a point you said before, working with your husband, choosing a business that would be up his alley. Do you guys work in it together? Does he have any roles that he looks after in the business, or is it more just the bouncing ideas around and the living of it together?
So he still works. He's electrical sales engineer.
Great.
But what's really cool is he was an electrician originally, and he worked in some of the factories. So all the process stuff is right up, automation, all that sort of stuff. So for him, he gets to play with all of the stuff he used to do a long time ago. And so he's designed the new beer lines and how it's going to work and the automation and turn it on and off and all the stuff that clearly I have nothing on.
Yeah.
So yeah, he is really important in the business. Our long term, we're probably getting him to not work, but we're not there yet. We've got a couple of years at least.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So we're balancing both, but no, he will definitely. He loves it. So
great. Yeah, that's cool. I love just hearing how have couples sort of work out that sort of team that they're building within their business, which is great. So what motivates you to get out of bed in the morning? And I'd love to know, do you have any morning routine? You know, when you go from corporate and then you yourself and I in a room, it can be hard to establish routines because no one's sort of looking over your shoulder to see if you're achieving things each day. What has that sort of sense of routine look like as well?
It was completely different in lockdown, but now I still have to get my kids up, get them to school, drop them off, come back, or get them on the bus. So I still have to get up at 7 versus maybe 8:30 when we were in lockdown. But yeah, it's again, it's planning for me because I have you've got brewing. Some days I go down and do sales. I've got such a varied role that sometimes I get a little bit too far out from my computer. And I have to do 1,000 lists. I've always had to do that because if I don't tick it off, I'll never get it done. You'll even see boards behind me, and that's me writing down what I need to do because I'm really bad and I'm quite a visual person. So walking past and reading it, it's like, oh yeah, I haven't done that yet.
Yes, yeah, clever.
I do find it hard. I must, because I'm not answering to someone like I used to, monthly reports and weekly and, accountants talking to you every 5 minutes and all that sort of stuff. So I've found it quite hard and probably left things longer than they should. Again, that's probably why I went to do the course, to force me back into a process.
Yeah, a bit of structure and routine. Yeah, totally. Yeah, that makes complete sense. So how did you Google Icehouse and it came up? How did you hear about Icehouse and you taking your forward program?
I was definitely looking for courses, so I was using the good old Google engine. I've heard of Icehouse. Everyone's kind of heard of Icehouse. I probably hadn't been involved in it or anything, but I'd seen the logos, it's all visual out there.
Yeah.
And then I started talking to people before I booked in. So I went in and had an interview with one of the salespeople anyway. He's like, yes, it would work for you. You're the type of person that would, do well on it. And then I started talking to my people around me before I spent the money and thought, look, I might as well just do something because, doing nothing is not working. So it was pretty much take a bit of a leap of faith from there.
Yeah, good on you for doing that. So awesome to invest into yourself and to make that leap and see the benefits from it. Would love to hear any specific changes that you've implemented into your business and maybe even your lifestyle since taking your business forward.
Well, I guess the biggest change is a product launch, which is all in the process of happening. So definitely, and since the program with setting up, your margins, your break-even points and all that, you realize that it is the right thing for the business. So your confidence has increased that this is where we should go.
Yeah, great.
Probably for myself, there was a big section of the course about health, well-being, looking after yourself, which I probably haven't done for many years. Probably since I had children, to be honest. So I've made a lot of changes in my health and still working through that particular one. We were in the middle of lockdown, so I stopped drinking and all sorts of things. So I did a lot of stuff to really, I do still have to taste my beers and I still do have the occasional beer.
Yeah.
It's all about moderation and actually defining, I want to get up each morning and feel good. What can I do to make that happen? So I spent quite a bit of time working on myself as well.
Awesome. That's so cool to hear. I love when, there's that perspective of working on yourself rather than just your business. I think it's so important. When both, when you're humming, the business tends to be humming a lot faster too. So that's great. Great to hear. I'd love to hear if you have a piece of advice for a business owner right now, or maybe a piece of advice you've received before that's really stuck with you.
I guess the biggest thing, which probably comes from my change is I went from probably a specialist to knowing nothing.
Yeah, interesting.
It's okay to know nothing. It's okay to be in a learning curve, but reach out for help. Like, there's so many people out there. If you tell them that I just want to know, or I'm coming to you because you're an expert, can you tell me something about it? Hours and hours of research on Google is going to be gone because someone's quite happy to share their story or share their experience, or if you need it, go and find a course like Icehouse, or just remember that there's a whole lot of people out there that would be willing to give you time if you ask them the questions. Sometimes you're going to pay for it, sometimes it's going to be given free, but just remember you're not alone, and the biggest way is to start talking to people and get your advice that way, and don't be scared to ask people. The biggest thing is if you tell them that they know more than you, most people sit down and talk to you for hours about what they can pass on to you.
Yeah,
so
just being
anyone
honest.
going through it,
yeah, great advice. Just being honest with what you know and what you don't know, right? And just leveraging the network, the community, and everyone's so willing to help, I feel. If you go put your hand up and you're like, I actually don't know what I'm doing, people, business owners, leaders are so keen to help others. And with that, through taking your business forward, you then met Kevin, who's one of our Icehouse coaches, and now you're doing some coaching with him. So I'm sure he's a great person to bounce ideas off. How are you finding that coaching with Kevin at the moment?
It's really good. I've just finished a coaching session. My brain is spinning, and I'm he's really excited about, or probably everyone's, but anyway, for me, it makes me feel like he's excited about my one.
Cool.
And so he just has so many ideas, and he's worked on so many projects, and he explains things how you understand it. You still have to implement it yourself, so it's not doing it, but he really has a wealth of experience that's going to help you put together something that you wouldn't have without. Like, I wouldn't have without it. Like, marketing is just not my thing. But it's really interesting to learn and understand things like how Google works and what you do to make it better, and how to, stuff that you think you know, but you don't, like how to suck in a customer and keep them and all that sort of stuff. We work through an environment where it happens today, but you sometimes stop to think about the mechanics and how do I recreate that in my own environment and stuff I'd never thought of. So I'm 100% sure that by the end of this, the launch and everything will be significantly different due to the coaching.
Yeah, that's so cool. Kevin's amazing, and great to hear you having a great experience with him. Just a bit of a side comment. Before launching something, is it hard to not just skip ahead and be like, oh, I just wish it was launched, and in that sort of like waiting zone that you're in at the moment, where if you've still got a few things to arrive, and how do you handle that point of like, this is where I want to be, this is where I am now? Did I communicate that okay?
No, you did, and I have been talking to my husband about that as well, because I'm like, especially now that the pubs are really quiet, and it's only going to be a few more weeks. We're going to get to the peak and we'll all start going out again. So it's not a forever. So I'm actually sitting in a real limbo where I'm not brewing much either.
Yeah. And
I'm sick of being at my computer all day because that's what I don't want to do. And yeah, I know what it can do, but I can't make it faster. We've actually talked about having little mini breaks for me so that I actually stop working because it's the time I can, so that I'm not exhausted and worn out when it all speeds up, because things like when canning machines arrive and websites are built, I can't control.
Yeah.
And then the other one is me writing down lists of stuff that I want to know. Like, I want to know how Google works. So there's videos online, there's all these things that can start to upskill me on things that is going to be essential. So I kind of run between those things of, I'll have days where I'll just not work at all, which is not normal, but and looking at how to have mini breaks so that I'm actually ready when we go full on, that I've had a break as well, and actually try and use it to my benefit. But
so good.
Yeah, it's really frustrating. I have to say, I want it now. I'm not.
Yeah, most business owners aren't patient, I don't think, and they're like, I just want this idea now. And so it's always really interesting chatting about the in-between seasons. But I like what you're saying, that you're sort of preparing yourself for you know it is going to be busy, it's going to be faster pace when the launch happens. So let's prepare for that in different ways, by resting, by upskilling when you need to. Real practical. I love that. Who is one person that's been really influential in your business journey?
That's a hard one. And I have to say, it's probably my husband.
Cool.
Because he is a complete opposite of me personality-wise when we're working. He's very structured, he's process-orientated, and he wants it all done his way. And so we'll be brewing together, which we can do individually, but we brew together quite a lot. And he is, he's so structured, yet I'm probably, when I'm out brewing, I'm like, what would happen if I did this?
Yeah.
So, but he's taught me a lot more about the manufacturing process. I do the science side of it because that's where I am, but how do we make sure that we produce the same product over and over again each time?
Yes,
so
yeah.
All that I had not even dreamt of or even thought I needed to know. So he's really changed how I look at that sort of thing. And then how do I bring in the side of creativity that I want while still following his processes and stuff? And that's by changing the flavors, or I just brewed a new beer yesterday to see what would happen if we do this. And
cool.
And then I've got another 4 ideas for it once we're past that, the basic body of the beer, and change colors and all sorts of stuff like that will come through later.
Cool.
So yeah, his influence has been to make me a lot more structured and process orientated, which sounds boring, but it really needed to happen. Otherwise we wouldn't have been able to be consistent.
Yes, that's it, that consistency piece. That's really cool. I love hearing that. I love asking that question because so many different answers come through, and that was a nice one. At the Icehouse, we have a manifesto or something that we say, which is grit goes further together. What does that statement, grit goes further together, mean to you?
So grit in itself is like, just keep going. Like, it's going to be hard.
Yeah.
So when you add in grit goes better together, it's like it's not going to take anything away, but remember that there is a community there. There are people there that can help you. So together we could do a lot more than we can as individuals or individual companies. So when things get hard, remember that you're not in it alone, you're in it with the group. And so you can go into the Icehouse community, see if there's people that might be able to help you in that, if there's skills that you weren't looking for. Or like even when I think about some of the development of our product further, where it might be into wines and stuff like that, then I'm still thinking about my Icehouse people who were wine producers, and do I contact them? And like, I'm sure they're struggling to sell as much wine without the restaurants. So like, is there a way we can do it together as well? So I guess it's it's, as a community we can do a lot more, but it's still going to be hard, especially when it's hard.
Oh, that answer makes my heart happy. It's exactly that. Community, and we are actually stronger together. It sounds cliche, but it is really true. And I love that idea. Hey, reach out. Icehouse Central was really good for putting up a question for other alumni that could be in the wine or brewing industry, and could answer questions that have been there, done that. And that's what I love seeing is alumni bouncing off each other. But Heidi, thank you so much for sharing your story. And I'm really excited for launch. I can't wait. Please keep us posted, because we totally will promote that and champion it. But congrats on all you've done so far, and excited for the future.
Awesome. Thank you.